This kid's fire.
No, don't worry. I'm not going to make you do it. I'm not going to make you do it again. I had my jumper on, and then as the timer got down to 1 second, I was like, oh, damn, I don't want to wear my jumper for the stream. But then obviously, you know what happens when you take a jumper off, and then your whole...
It's a big upheaval.
And this is not the correct platform. Yeah, this is not the correct platform for me taking off my clothes. So
that suggests there is a correct platform for such a thing. Do you have future plans? LB to OF?
You naughty. You teasing me, you naughty.
Funny, man. How you doing, Bray?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. Doing good. Another important victory, of course, in what we earmarked as a potential banana skin. Big 3 points. We know that we're over the halfway point in terms of that 9-game run that we that task that we gave ourselves, that target. We're over halfway there now. Half the games are at home. Yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time had by all.
Absolutely. And you know what else is a good time? When Tinsay becomes a channel member.
Whee!
W's in the chat for Tinsay, guys. Big up Tinsay. Appreciate the support as always, man. Big up for the support on the membership. W's in the chat. You can join Tinsay and all the rest of the members. Links in the description. Hit the join button if you want to support me on the channel. Yeah, no, it was. I was gonna say it was a good win, but I mean it is a good win. The performance wasn't particularly great, but as I said before the game, the performance is kind of irrelevant. The result is what it is, and it's kind of crazy, man. Me and you were sat here about 3 weeks ago, and we said the only way City win this league is if we win 9 games out of 9. And you know, there was a lot of people in the chat that said, nah, that's not true. You know what I mean? We could drop points in one game, and me and you was like, nah, we both feel like the only way we win the league is if we win 9 out of 9. And it's looking again like the only way we win this league is if we win 9 out of 9. 4 games to go. And you know, we're in a decent position now. You know what I mean? 3 games. I mean, every game's tricky, but like Wolves at home, West Ham at home, Fulham away could be tricky, but maybe they'll be on the beaches. Who knows? And obviously you got the Spurs game, which is kind of crazy, man. But you know, I feel like the team's dialed in. The team is dialed in now. You know, we've got hopefully Phil Foden and Diaz will be back from their illness for the Wolves game. Kevin De Bruyne, he's passing is on point. Haaland yesterday, I don't know about you, but like I thought the game was crying out for Haaland from like the 10th minute of the game. I said, get Haaland on. And when he come on, he made a huge difference. I just feel like we're clicking at the right time. We still need a bit of luck. You know what I mean? There's 4 games. We need to win all 4, but it's looking good, bro. And I thought it was a difficult task for us to win this league 3 or 4 weeks ago because of the 9 wins out of 9 needed. But you know, we're getting closer and closer now.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you touched on the performance. It wasn't great, but we are now at the stage of the season where irrelevant. All that matters is getting the 3 points. Performances are meaningless at this stage. All that matters is getting the points on the board. I doubt we're going to play like that for the remainder of the season. In my head, that was just a bit of a one-off. We've now got like nearly a week break. You know, players who need a rest, like Rodri, Foden, De Bruyne, for example, they'll be able to chill because we're obviously not in the Champions League anymore. So a bit of a silver lining there. And next game's at home against Wolves. Hopefully a relatively convincing win there. Again, get the morale up, and then I think that if we win the game against Fulham, then we'll play the same amount. We'll play the same number of games as Arsenal, and then they've got to go away to Old Trafford and obviously get a win there. So
the day after,
exactly. So all we can do is win our games. All we can do is try to put Arsenal under as much pressure as possible. Because we obviously can't directly impact them, but maybe we can indirectly impact them by putting that pressure on them. So yeah, good position to be in. I think, to be fair, if like you said at the start of the season, you win these final 4 games, you win the league, I think most City fans would have gone, yeah, I'll take that. With no, you know, De Bruyne back, etc. Ederson, the only injured player now, it seems. So yeah, I think that we're in a decent position, and obviously in the FA Cup final as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Listen, you are right. Yeah, Wolves is the last game before we play our sort of catch-up game against Spurs, where we play after Arsenal. And I really, really don't like playing after Arsenal. I prefer to play first, which is why it's good that you mentioned the Fulham game, because Fulham, we play them at 12:30 on Saturday next week, not this week. And then they play United the day after. So, yeah, we've got to get through this week. this weekend, it's going to be another one. I think Arsenal smash Bournemouth, to be honest with you. They're there again. They're flying. And that puts the pressure back on City for the game against Wolves. It's 5:30 kickoff. But if we can get through this weekend, then it's our turn. It's our turn to put the pressure on Arsenal now. Don't want to sort of like skip too far ahead, of course, because Wolves are a good football team. Neto's going to be back for the game. Cunha's going to be back for the game, which is really kind of annoying that them two are back for the City game. And they're a good side. You know, I've watched a lot of Wolves this year. They're a good football team. So I don't want people saying like it's going to be an easy game. Hopefully they're on the beaches, man. But some of these players might be playing for moves. They literally beat us, absolutely. And some of these players, man, they might be playing for moves. Look at Neto. He's been linked with like Liverpool. He's been linked with City in the past. Cunha's a fantastic player. There's a couple of other, like Nori's been linked with City in the past as well. They've got some good players there. So I think it's going to be a tough game. The pressure is going to be on us again. But, you know, regardless of the performance, we just need to get the win. However we get it, that is the main priority. But, yeah, listen, we're in a good position. And as you said, you know, absolutely spot on in the sense that, if you would have said to City fans at the start of the season, 4 games left of the season, Wolves at home, Fulham away, Tottenham away, West Ham at home, you win the 4, you win the league. Most people will probably take that. So yeah, that's a good position. Listen, I want to speak about the FFP situation. Big up to John as well. W's in the chat, man. We've got 2 members already in this stream. Please smash the like, subscribe. W's in the chat for John and Tinsey. Big up to John, man. I appreciate you. I always see you in the chat, man. Thank you for supporting me on the channel, man. Anyone else wants to join John and Tinsey? Link is in the description. 2 members already. Big up to John. Big up to Tinsey. Thank you for the support, guys. Appreciate it. Big up to Leona with a 6 months. Says, have you seen Tommy's tweet about the charges? Rumors that we are more confident than we were before the Cash trial. Hopefully it's true. Yeah, I've seen a lot of news coming out over the last week from reported ITKs. And of course, you had the board director, Galassi, or whatever he's called, say that he's super confident about the outcome. So I prefer just to like wait for the outcome. Like I don't want to listen too much to the ITKs because if they keep telling me that we're going to be fine and then we're not fine, I don't want to be angry for leading me down the wrong path. So I'm going to let people make their own judgments up and their own opinions. Galassi, I'll listen to him because he's a board member. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, it's certainly interesting that over the last week or so, there's a lot of news that's come out about the charges. I think it's Farhad says City top of the table because Arsenal mentality. Well, we're not actually top yet, Farhad. We're not yet. We're not top of the table.
Don't jump the gun.
We're not. Facts. Do not jump the gun. Absolutely. But Arsenal look good at the moment. You can't lie. 3-0 up yesterday by half time. They were absolutely cooking. Right. Let's speak about the FFP charges now. It's never, you know, these not the FFP charges, sorry, FFP changes. The FFP has changed yet again. It's been voted through. The full details are yet to be fully disclosed. But are Manchester City being targeted yet again on these FFP charges, guys? Because obviously we all know, most City fans agree that the FFP came in and one of the main reasons it came in was to stop City from getting up to the top. That is disputed by rival fans of the Red Cartel, but it's true. It's just true. You know what I mean? Like it's just factually true. And what's quite frustrating about this, guys, is that City have put themselves in a position where there was actually quite good in terms of the FFP charges. And I want to shout out, let me get his name right, Blue City Brain on Twitter. You guys should 100% be following this guy on Twitter. I know Nobbins does. I do as well. Like anything to do with financials, football financials, explain to you like you're a 12-year-old. Like this is the guy, man. And it's all legit, man. It's
very good content
stuff. So I've got his images here. Make sure you give him a follow on X. So basically, you can see here, right, that City wages, amortization, profit, and revenue here, yeah, 62% of our revenue, right, which is a fantastic number. And if you believe that the number was going to be around 80%, that puts City in a very, very, very healthy position for the new rules that was going to come in. Yeah. And obviously, I think this is pretty much what UEFA have got as well, isn't it, Nobbins? Like UEFA have gone down this because that's what the Premier League was going to do. The Premier League was just going to copy the UEFA thing with different numbers, but copy the profile and then over the years, trim down the number to get everyone down to a healthy and relative number. We was at 62%. Very good number. Very, very strong in terms of the numbers. And you can see, just for reference, Aston Villa up there, not looking too good. Forest, Leicester, Everton. And then you've got other teams like Arsenal in and around the 80%, but below it, all looking good. So City, very, very good. Yeah. Chilling. The bad
Vibing.
news is that they've now changed the rules. Yeah. As to where, let me just get this up. Let me make sure I get the right one up. Where there's going to be basically this thing that they're calling an anchor, which is where basically, whilst they're happy for it to go in this sort of direction, they want it to be limited to the bottom club. And now that puts Manchester City in a not very good position because of our wages, amortization. This hasn't actually got the transfers on it, I don't think either. I'll bring up the one that you sent me in a minute, Nobbins. But as you can see, City are now at the top end, which now puts City in a not very good position. And just before I bring Nobbins in on this, I will bring up the Athletics photo that they've done, and because this for me is probably one of the best images you can see. Have a look at this. Under the current proposals, the spending cap would have been around 518 million quid. City are now near the top of that with 501. Now, obviously, the numbers can move a little around. You know what I mean? Until you actually get the full sort of accounts and someone actually does it properly, then maybe the numbers will change. But basically, cut a long story short, City looked like they were perfectly adherent to the squad cost ratio metrics, yeah, of around 69%. And now we're at the top end of it. And now we could potentially be in a situation where we have to look at our spending. Do we have to rein our spending back in? And it's just like City voted against these rules, by the way. Yeah, City voted against these rules. And I just think that, like, what's going on here, Nobbins, man? You know what I mean? They're changing the rules every day. Yeah. Like 1 minute we look like we're fine. Yeah, you tell us that we need to be sustainable. So we get our house in order and we get we're sustainable. We get our percentage down to under 70%. I think it was the third lowest in the whole league. And now we're at the top again because they've changed the rules. And now all of a sudden, City are the bad guys. And you know what's funny now is I see people on Twitter going, no wonder City voted against it. It's like, bro, we was literally okay. We was all right. I was adherent to the rules. And now we was, in fact, one of the best teams in the league in terms of adherent to the rules. And now we're at the top of it. And it's just like, are they doing it on purpose, man? No, we are fine, Lou. We are fine. I'm just saying that, like, we're at the top end.
Just about fine, though.
Yeah, we're at the top end of it. We went from the club that was in the bottom three of, like, we was like great. We was sound. And now we've gone to the second highest because of the way that they flipped the rules.
Yeah. I think that we'll maybe get on to, like, you know, is there an actual good thing with this, you know, competitiveness and blah, blah, blah. I think the thing that maybe frustrates me the most, as it's not new information, because these rules will replace the current profit and sustainability rules. That's correct, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So the premise, or, you know, what was publicly said about those rules was, it's all about, you know, making sure everyone's got their finances in order. We don't want another, you know, Leeds and Blackburn situation, whatever we want. So the message is sustainability. But we all know we all knew that was rubbish anyway. We all knew the real purpose of it. And this just confirms it, to be honest, because now you could be in a situation, let's say, for example, because I believe that the way it works is that it's the bottom club's commercial stream via broadcast multiplied by a factor of 5. So, for example, if it's 100 million by the bottom club, that means that you can spend 500 million pounds, whatever. Blah, blah, blah. So now it's not a question of sustainability, because you could still be well within your limit of how much you can spend, but you could be operating at a massive financial loss. So it's now nothing to do with being financially sustainable. In that, now the message is all about competitiveness, which is fine if that's the point. But you can't have this facade, this charade of we want it to be all about, you know, making sure that every club is going to be in a healthy financial position, because you could be operating well within these limits and be in an awful financial position. Like you could be operating at a massive loss. Like let's say that the bottom club earns 150 million pounds, for example. Then you could spend 150 times 5, 750 million pounds. You might only be earning like 300 million pounds, in which case you're operating at a loss of nearly £500 million, which is like, so if they just need to get their story right in terms of, like, what is it, guys? Is it actually about sustainability, or is it actually a load of bollocks?
This is what I've been saying for the last decade. I was like, you know, this is clear. What this FFP thing that they put in to be like sustainability, yeah. And we all knew That it was nothing to do. It was about controlling the league. It's about, not letting teams go too far and not letting City win titles or whatever it is, yeah? Whereas now, they basically confirmed it, as you've said, because now you can only spend what the bottom guy earns, times 5. So it's like, well, actually then, it is about competitiveness. And this is the thing. I don't have if that's the rules that you're going with, that's the rules that you're going with. But we've been telling you that's the rule that you've been going for the last decade, and you've been lying to us, saying, no, it's not. No, it's not. It's because we want to protect the clubs and we want to do this. And we've been like, no, you're chatting ass, mate. You know what I mean? This is about not letting other teams spend money and investing in their team for growth. Yeah. But you tried to tell us that it was all about sustainability. It was all about protecting clubs. When actually now you've effectively confirmed it, as you said, which is great. I didn't even think of it, but it's actually true. You're effectively confirming it now, because now you're limiting what people can spend. You know what I mean? To obviously for the bottom club. And again, under the current proposal, the spending cap would have been 518 million, and City are very, very close to that. Now, what to say is on this. Because my mate sent me a couple of graphs, and City's wages for last year was very, very high. It was the highest in the league. However, we did just win the treble, and with that came a lot of bonus payments. Yeah. We just signed Haaland, and that had a lot of agent fees associated with it as well, which we all know about. But I just think that, like, how many times are they going to change these rules, bro? Before, like, are they going to change it again? I tweeted before and said I give it 18 months. I give it 18 months, 2 years, before someone goes, actually, this isn't good, is it? You know what I mean? Like, City are still winning, and then they'll try and change it again. And, by the way, apparently, rumor has it that Jim Ratcliffe, who's just bought Manchester United, is absolutely fuming with this news, because obviously he's bought Man United. As you can see from the graph, they're third in the list.
Yeah.
And, they're not like us. Like, we're quite high. We're quite close to the limit, but we're within the limit. And we can sell players, you know what I mean? We can bring new players in, and we don't need like a full rebuild, right? We need a couple players maybe, yeah? But we can sell players. United need like a full rebuild. So they need to spend quite a lot of money. Do you know what I'm saying? So, like, apparently he's not happy, and United rejected it, City rejected it, and Aston Villa rejected it. And United apparently are like fuming with this, because this could really impact their plans of growth. And, I think when you speak about United, everyone agrees that team needs to be completely disbanded, and they almost need a brand new squad because all the players are crap. Well, they might find that a little bit tricky now because of the rules and how close they are to the limit. So it's crazy, man. Like, I just don't know what they're doing, bro.
Yeah, it seems ill thought out. We don't know all the details, obviously, but from an outsider looking in, there doesn't seem to be much of a long-term vision in terms of what's happening with this. As you say, it does seem to be, one season it's this, and then now it's FFP, but now it's PSR, now we're going to link with UEFA, now we're going to have this new anchoring thing. And it does seem like they're sort of flapping around, not able to figure out what they actually want. Is it sustainability? Is it competitiveness? Which one is it? Let's just have a clear message, and then we all know where we stand. And I think that obviously, like, as I understand it, City voted against it, United voted against it, Villa against, Chelsea abstained, everyone else wants it. It seems like the less rich clubs want it. And I guess short term it makes sense, but like, I feel like this could be very easily manipulated to the point where, like, the bottom side, we just level out the broadcasting share, and we just make the bottom club relatively rich. And then that just means the top clubs can go mental, because even if you up, again, let's say it's 100 million now, I don't know the exact numbers. Let's say the bottom club's currently 100 million. So that means you can do 500 million. If you just add an extra 50 million to that bottom club, immediately everyone else can now spend an extra 250 million pounds. So I just worry if, like, maybe long term is this even going to help? Is it going to make the gap even greater? Because again, you could very easily manipulate it and go, well, actually, let's distribute it even more. Short term, they're like, great, brilliant, but that just makes the big clubs where they don't care if they're making 200 million pounds of a loss, like Chelsea, City, whoever. If anything, it might just it might widen the gap even further. There's the worry about that as well. So I don't even know if it's going to achieve the aim which they allegedly want now. You've then also got to think about, the product of the league compared to competitors. If there's going to be a cap introduced now, how is that going to impact competitiveness in terms of attracting talent? in terms of attracting, the best managers, the best players, etc. If we're in a situation where, I'd love to pay, 300 grand or whatever, but I can't. I can only pay you 250. Then players will well, I'm just going to go somewhere else. I'm going to go to Saudi Arabia. I'm going to go to Bayern Munich. I'm going to go to PSG, etc. So there's a potential short-term goodness, but I'm just concerned about the long-term issues, not only for like the Premier League as a product, but also even for the less rich clubs for those reasons. I don't know. Maybe that's unfounded. We don't know the details, but it doesn't seem very well thought out.
Well, no, it's not. It's not well thought out because everyone votes, and City do this, by the way. Everyone will vote for that short term. What do they want short term? You know what I mean? What do they want? What the rules suit them for the initial short term growth? None of these teams are thinking what's going to happen in 10 years' time or something like that. But the rules will be changed again. There's no way that these rules are going to come in and we're going to have these are the rules for the rest of our lives. They'll change in a couple of years. They'll keep changing and they'll keep changing. You know what I mean? When the FFP rules came in and this PSR came in, everyone was like, oh, yeah, great. Then everyone starts getting points deductions at the bottom and everyone goes, oh, wait a sec. You know what I mean? Because people are not looking at what are the unintended consequences of this? Because they don't properly look at it, man. They only find the unintended consequences in a few years when someone either breaches or, the league can't sign the top players because we can't afford them because they're all going to Spain or something like that. It just, for me, I just look at it and think, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? What is actually going on? How can we have a different rules? Yeah, financial rules to La Liga or something like this. You know what I mean? Surely the Premier League needs the same rules so it can compete. I mean, Mbappe is going to be on fucking crazy money. Are we just basically looking at this now and saying, well, we don't think we can get Mbappe at the league? Because I don't know how much this guy's going to be on wages wise, but he's probably going to be on at least 500, 600 grand a week when he goes to Real Madrid. You throw that into the current scenario and, you look at the top clubs on that graph that I showed you earlier, how many of these clubs are actually going to be able to get Mbappe? City probably wouldn't be able to. Chelsea certainly can't. United, Liverpool and Arsenal are all running close. So I just think they're like, what's going on here, man? What we doing here? You know what I mean? What's the plan? What is happening? You know what I'm saying? And like I say, City have voted against it. Chelsea abstained. Villa and United voted against it, and obviously, a lot of clubs voted for it. But a lot of clubs voted for FFP over a decade ago, and look how that's fucking turned out. So it's just, I just think it's a lot of nonsense, to be honest with you, bro.
Yeah, and again, it's hard to properly comment on it because we don't know the full ins and outs of it. Also, as I understand it, this is going to be this hasn't been finalized. This is going to be put to the PFA, the Players Association, because they're concerned about. Correct. I think they released a statement today, didn't they? They're concerned about the notion of a salary cap because they're totally against the idea of a salary cap, which is, if you're an employee, you don't want your earnings to be limited. That makes sense. I understand that. So they might not even happen. But yeah, again, to echo what we've said, it just seems I don't know how well thought through it is long term. I don't know if it's going to benefit the clubs who have actually voted for it. I am a little bit concerned that it might actually backfire for them. I don't want it to backfire for them, but I think it might end up doing that. And I think that. It's hard because football isn't like the NBA, where there is a hard salary cap and there aren't really transfers because it's all to do with free agents and drafts. We can't really operate like that because football is a global game. The only way this would really work is if FIFA came out and said, right, every footballing organization must do this. And we all know that's never going to happen. So I just don't know whether what they want to happen will ever happen.
Yeah, and this is the PFA response. They obviously, like you said, they're not happy. They said we'll wait to see the details of proposals, but we would oppose any measure that would place a hard cap on player wages. There's an established process in place to ensure proposals like this, which would directly impact our members and have to be properly consulted on. I just think that one thing will happen: players will get richer and richer and richer. And people say, how? Salary cap? Well, there's not going to be a hard salary cap. There will not be a hard salary cap on player wages. Yeah. That will never happen. That will never happen. And actually, I'm fully against that. I'm fully against a player salary cap. But players will just get richer and richer. You know what I mean? And as the transfer fees go up and up and up and up and up, yeah, and therefore putting more pressure on the clubs because, the higher the transfer fee, the higher the money, obviously, on the yearly amortization will be. I think players will just get smart and just start going as free transfers. I really do. I feel like you're already starting to see this a little bit as well. Mbappe's been playing PSG for years. Alphonso Davies, I think, is looking at doing it potentially. A couple of those players. You've had Real Madrid, who are signing like literally everyone on free contract recently. Trent has got 18 months left on his deal, and there's talks about him potentially going to Real Madrid at the end of it. I just feel that, like, as the transfer fees go up, players are just going to get smarter and smarter and smarter because, they can take risk. Because here's the thing, right? 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, right? Whatever you go back to, right? After the Bosman came in, yeah? Players maybe were a little bit, they didn't maybe want to run down the contract to zero because they felt to themselves, well, if I get a bad injury, then I'm not going to get paid. The players get paid so much money now, so much money that they can afford to take the risk. They can afford to take the risk now because they go, well, hang on a minute. If I end my contract to, say, Trent, for example, if he's sitting there now going, if I don't sign a new contract, I can go Real Madrid on a free transfer. Yeah, I can get a nice juicy sign on bonus, and they'll give me big wages because there's no transfer fee to pay. I just think that, like, there's only one thing that's going to happen here. The players will get richer and richer and richer because there'll never be a hard salary cap on the players. And I don't actually think there should be one because I always say, if you put a hard salary cap on the players' wages, where's that money going? That money that you're saving, which apparently you'd be saying, where's that money going? It's going somewhere. It's not going to the fans. It's not going to be knocked off the season ticket prices. It's not going to be knocked off the ticket prices. So where's that money going? Oh, it'll go into investment in the stadium. No, it won't, man. It'll go somewhere to some other rich guy. It'll go to lawyers. It'll go to solicitors. It'll go to someone else other than the players who are actually out on the pitch providing the sport, providing the entertainment, if you want to call that. So that's where I'm at with it, bro. I just think that it's just a fucking load of nonsense. It'll change in a couple of years' time again. And I just think it's one of those. That and VAR for me have just fucking almost destroyed this sport.
Yeah, and let's be honest. Well, like you mentioned, like players are just going to get smarter. Like the clubs will get smarter as well. Like we've seen, like Chelsea, for example, in like recent weeks, it's transpired that they've been selling hotels to themselves in order to circumvent sustainability rules. There'll be similar situations. Like City did a multi-club model in order to help us deal with FFP. Similar things will happen, I'm sure. So there's always a solution. There's always a way out. They're very intelligent people at these clubs. I just worry that the desired impact that the clubs who voted for it, I don't know if it's going to have the long-term impact that they wish to have happen. Again, I think there is a big issue that it could backfire.
It's highly that. I mean, everything that they do backfires, so it'll probably backfire again. You know what I mean? Bill 12B says these rules ain't set in place yet. It will change. Well, like Nobby said, the finer details are yet to be fully discovered, and I'm sure there'll be lots of talks, and they'll try and get something that is not everyone agrees because not everyone will agree, but like as much as people can accept it, but. Again, it's just for me, it's just a lot of nonsense. Because Punit says, please explain this. I'm confused. You did send that in 15 minutes ago, so hopefully we've explained it to you, Bray. But again, the finer details will come out when this all eventually comes out. This was just like the initials, so we're still waiting for the full details. Built to Andrew says, how does this benefit Liverpool, Nobbins? FSG don't like spending money. Confused how it would work is more youth stuff and sell, says Andrew, right?
I guess from a Liverpool perspective, the reason why they would vote for it is because they feel like it sort of puts a limit on the likes of City, and therefore it brings them closer in line to what they'd be willing to spend at Liverpool. I'm guessing that's the theory of what they want to happen and what will happen. Whether it will is another matter, but I imagine.
Look at that though, Nobbins. They're not even like. People act like City spend like £1 billion.
I know, yeah.
Window. It's fucking weird, I mean, people have this weird, like, people don't actually, I say this all the time, people don't actually research anything, Like, the Aston Villa, yeah? If you speak to fans, people think Aston Villa has spent like £1 billion in the last 4 years. They spent on average 100 million euros, euros a year. Like, they don't, I mean? It's weird, man. I don't get it. Like, again, what did we spend in the summer? But 70 on Gavardio, 50 on Nunes, 25 on Kovacic, 50 on Doku. And then we sold
However
Cole
much
Palmer for
academy
40.
sales as well.
Yeah, we got Cole Palmer 40 million, Riyad Mahrez 25 million. Obviously, Gundogan left on a free because we were idiots. And then a couple of other. So we probably had like, I don't even know, rough maths. I would say about 100 million, 110 million net spend. Rough, I don't know. Could be less, could be more. But it's just like people are actually research, bro. But this is right, Andrew, yeah? And you know what? I don't know if you follow Mike on Twitter. He's a funny guy, yeah. He used to be a United fan, but now he's a Real Madrid fan. You know what I'm on about?
No, I don't know what it is.
You know, right. So basically, he calls it out, man. He calls it out as it is. The Premier League clubs, yeah, they are trying to convince fans of Premier League teams that essentially that it's all City's fault. All the owners in this league, I believe there's 17 of the owners in this league, I believe, are billionaires. There's no excuses for these teams. Yeah. Love United, hate Glazers, Mike. Yeah, but he's not that anymore. He's Mike Real Madrid Club de Football because he transferred, right? And yeah, here we go. Like, big up to this guy. Yeah, he used to be an ex-United fan, so. But he says billionaires owners voting for an excuse to keep their money in their pockets rather than show some ambition to actually try and win. Premier League fans are being completely mugged off, and most are too stupid to realise it. There's no excuses for the FSG at Liverpool not to spend money. They don't want to spend money because they're tight asses.
Yeah, definitely.
They're billionaires, mate. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, a billionaire's a billionaire, bro. Yeah, if one guy's got a billion and the other guy's got a billion, don't matter how they got the billion, don't matter where they're based geographically in the world, they've still got £1 billion. Now, if one owner is prepared to spend some of that money and the other owner isn't because he ain't serious and he's using it as like an asset for growth because he just wants to invest and have the business grow so the value increases, that's not the fault of the other guy who actually just like, I want to spend money.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, City are scapegoated and made this bad guy, but for years now, the likes of, well, and they have spent more United and Chelsea, but the likes of Liverpool, Arsenal, they've been more than capable of spending as much as we have done. They've made a conscious decision not to do that. So, you know, when certain of these rival fans, obviously not everyone does it, so there's lots of intelligent ones, but those that don't, it's easier for them to blame the big bad guy in a city than it is for them to actually look inwards and go and internally go, well, actually, why aren't we just spending as much money? Like, we're making a profit, you know, like there's nothing physically stopping us. Our owner is a billionaire conglomerate fund, whatever. There's no reason why we can't do it. But it's just easier for these people to blame someone else rather than their own club. But as you rightly say, these Arsenal could have spent as much as City. Have Liverpool in the Klopp period could have spent as much as City, but they chose not to, and that was a conscious decision not to. That's not City's fault. It's not City's fault that we are spending what we are entitled to spend in that moment. If you don't want to match that, that's your problem, guys.
Exactly, but that's why they're so aggressive with these rules, bro. Because City's owners want to win. They want to win. That's their aim. They want to win trophies, so that's why they spend the money. The other owners don't want to win. They'll tell you that they want to win because they have to tell you they want to win. Yeah, FSG will tell Liverpool fans they want to win. The Glazers, whenever they speak up, once in a blue moon, will say they want to win. So does Todd Bowley guy, but they don't want to win. If they wanted to win, they'd spend the money. Invest in a club. If you want to win, invest. Do you get what I'm saying? Like the Glazers, aren't they taking dividends out of the club? So they clearly don't want to win. That's about taking money out of the club. You know what I mean? Didn't they buy the club on debt? It was a financial transaction. It was not about helping Man United. Liverpool with FSG. The guy's worth, I just checked, the guy's worth £4 billion, mate. 4 billion. You tell me this guy's not got any money to spend. It's because they don't want to win. They own the clubs for different purposes. Now, you look at someone like Arsenal and actually think, okay, maybe these actually are serious now. You know, they dropped 100 million on Rice. You know, I think some Arsenal fans will probably still want them to spend a little bit more. But they look a little bit more serious. A perfect example of another owner that doesn't want to win. Spurs. They don't want to win. Spurs don't want to. Their owner and their chairman, they don't want to win. Clearly, they don't want to win. If they wanted to win, they'd spend money, but they don't want to win. It's all about money. You know, like, look at the new stadium. Look, we've got this mint stadium now. All right, go and drop 200 million quid. Go and spend 60, 70 million quid on one of the best up-and-coming players. They won't do it because they don't want to win. They'll sit there and say it's all City's fault for spending all this money, but you've got the money as well. Like I said, guys, at the end of the day, yeah, all these owners in the Premier League, most of them are billionaires. It's not City's fault that City's billionaire actually wants to spend money and the rest don't want to spend money. Yeah, and again, these Premier League fans, yeah, absolutely is right. Yeah, a lot of them have just been mugged off because they all just believe the first person, or Gary Neville or someone like that, they all just believe the first article they see on Sky Sports News because that's apparently the most trusted source in this country. And then they just blame City because they don't want to have a look at their own club. No one wants to look at their own club. Big up to the Liverpool fans, man. I see actually a lot of, and United as well, respect to the Liverpool fans, United fans, who look at their own owners and say, hang on a minute. Yes, City is spending money, but you are billionaires as well, so you get the cash out.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, and it's not even like the top, like for example, like Brighton, for example, their owners pumped in hundreds and hundreds of £1 million into their club. Even like these lesser clubs are, not as rich clubs are doing it. Again, Liverpool are a very, very rich club. Arsenal, very, very rich club. United, Chelsea, Spurs. They can all do this. They just choose not to because, as we've established, for whatever reason, they don't want to. They look at it as a money-making exercise rather than a trophy accumulating exercise. They don't want City to be. It's almost like they've got like this sort of like unwritten thing with one another going, right, we're not going to push the boat out too much. We're not going to spend too much money. But then along comes City and we're like, well, actually, guys, we could just spend quite a bit of money, guys, because we're entitled to do that. No, we don't like you doing that. So we're going to change the rules. But didn't you like have rules which like made it so it was really hard for us in that one moment with FFP to get to this top bit? Yeah. And now you're making rules which now we're at the top negatively impacts us again. Yeah. It's just frustrating. Yeah, we've been. Sorry, go on.
I'll tell you something as well. Yeah, it's only going to get worse for him. It's only going to get worse for him, mate, because the Saudis at Newcastle, the Egyptian Donny at Aston Villa. Yeah, this might potentially have stunted them a little bit or slowed them down or whatever, or maybe it sped it up depending on exactly the foot. But they're not going anywhere. And this is the difference. The Saudis at Newcastle, they want to win. They took over Newcastle to just fucking chill in the mid-table, bro. They want to win. They want to be like City. They want to win. And I think Aston Villa do as well. I think Aston Villa want to win. They've got a great manager, a great team. They're in the Champions League now. They're going to continue to invest. And they want to win as well. So the thing is, at the end of the day, I believe that at some point, yeah, these fans of these clubs, a lot of the legacy clubs, their eyes will eventually open. And again, respect to the fans where their eyes are already open, because there's a lot of Liverpool fans, a lot of United fans who don't buy into this nonsense and understand that it's their own owners just not putting in the money. But at some point, when Aston Villa, Newcastle, City are still there, are all smashing the top four because the owners are actually putting in money and want to win, and there's only one Champions League spot left, yeah, potentially two. That's another reason they probably sort of influenced UEFA, because they got scared. Then they'll eventually have to start putting money in. Or what will they do? What's the more likely option? They'll sell the clubs, which is funny enough, which is what FSG was apparently rumoured to be doing before they eventually decided not to, and what the Glazers have done for Jim Ratcliffe. They don't have to, because they've only got two options.
Yeah.
They either sell up, yeah, like the Glazers have done, because the fans will demand it and you can't get away with it forever, or you just run the club into the ground because you have to invest.
Yeah, it's going to have the opposite effect, I think, probably long term. Short term, maybe you'll see some joy, maybe it'll all be like happy and lovely, but long term, I think it's just going to all end in tears, to be honest. And City once again will put themselves in a position whereby they're fully in compliance with the rules, as we have been with FFP and PSR. And then it'll be like, right, now what can we do to level the playing field even more? They've done it again. That they're now, we've changed the rules of the game for a third time. We've moved the goalposts again, but they're still complying. Now, how can we do it? And it'll be like in 5-10 years time, there'll be something else. There'll be something else which has got this charade of looking out for the financial health of football clubs. But we all know what the reality of that will be, and it will be about stunting the success of City, and not just City, just like new money clubs in general, the likes of Newcastle and maybe other teams who are taking over in that period. And again, it's just this obnoxious, fake altruism, and it's just frustrating.
You know what's crazy as well? I'm against all these sort of like fucking spending rules, yeah, because I'm just completely against it, yeah. Not because I'm a City fan. I've always been against it because I just think it's a lot of nonsense. Yeah, I don't buy into the BS that's put out there by the mainstream, all these pundits of all the legacy clubs who say it's great for the game because they want their clubs to be at the top. Yeah, but you know the squad cost ratio. If there was anything that I could get behind, it might have been something like that, because it's like, right, okay, if it's about sustainability, then you're telling me you can only spend what you earn. Now, I disagree with that. I believe you should be able to invest in your team, and ultimately, like any business, you might have to have upfront costs, and over the first couple of years, you might lose money, but eventually that'll pay off, and you'll start making bigger profits, and obviously, like football clubs will get the bigger revenues, but it doesn't come straight away. But if you wanted to go down that, then it is what it is. And then they just completely got rid of that and gone back to this one. And it's just like, what the hell, man? It's just crazy. Big up to Tinsay. He says, when we defeat Witch Hunt, I want Khaldoon to get a hand on the media, Premier League, FA, and UEFA to control the narrative around us, and then to better football. You won't be able to better football, bro. Because for me, there are too many things going on, bro. Yeah, I mean, and I think a lot of fans don't actually look at the details. They just look at their favorite journalist or their favorite YouTuber or whatever and go, "Oh, that's what he's saying, so I'm going to say that." No one actually reads shit anymore. I say this all the time. No one reads shit. How many times have you been on Twitter or in a YouTube chat and you see people waffling about the Cass case? And I've read the document, you've read the document, and all the people in the chat have read the document, and then you'll see someone say something in the chat, you're like, that's just factually incorrect. And they're absolutely convinced in their mind that they're right because some YouTuber said it, or some guy on the radio, or Top Sport, or someone on Sky Sports said it. You know what I mean? It's like Jamie Carragher when Everton got done for the first points deduction, and the Premier League said they didn't cooperate, and he was on Sky Sport, and this was in the document, and he was on Sky Sports saying they cooperated, so why are they getting the foot? He's like, that's factually incorrect. So it's like people don't read shit anymore, yeah, which is bad, and a lot of people are just sheep, man. 100%. That's the way the game goes. And a lot of people don't want to look inwards. I say this all the time to you guys. How many times I say this recently? People need to start looking inwards. And when I say inwards, I'm not talking about themselves this time. I'm saying look at their own clubs, man. People just want to blame City because that's what they do. Everyone blames City. Everyone blames whoever. So everyone just goes, it's their fault. It's their fault. It's City are ruining it. I'm going, why don't you look at your own club, mate? Why don't you look at your own club? What could your club be doing better here? And often, a lot of the times, is you're not spending any money. You're not putting any money into the club. United fans know this with the Glazers. Might get a little better, but now this Jim guy's coming. But again, the only reason the Glazers have had to sell some of the club to Jim Ratcliffe is because it was in managed decline. They got away with it when Fergie was there, and the other guy, the CEO guy who was there as well, who's now working at UEFA, I believe. They got away with it because they had one of the best managers of all time, and this guy. But now they went, and now they're back in the normal world of having average managers and average CEOs. They've failed, and they've not been able to get back up there. So what they do, the Glazers are getting a load of heat. They don't want to sell up completely. Why? Because it's a nice little earner for them. Taking money out of the club, it's good. You know what I mean? Or Manchester United, maybe in another 10 years, it's going to be double the value, the way football's going. So they sell a little bit, and now they've done a blinder, by the way. They basically have absolved all responsibility of the footballing side, which is amazing. Because now anything that goes wrong on the pitch, anything goes wrong in the boardroom, it's nothing to do with the Glazers. It's all this Jim guy. So Jim needs to make sure he gets it right, mate. Big up to Andrew, says, I believe they will sell when they had enough money. They'll sell. I actually say, bro, they'll sell when one or two things happens, yeah? One, Liverpool are no longer a regular top four club because City, Aston Villa, and Newcastle, and maybe someone else who decides to take this league seriously, are just dominating the Champions League spaces. And they realise that the only way to get back into that Champions League, which is where they need to be for the revenues, is to spend money. And they don't want to do that. So then they'll go, oh, we're finally going to sell. And they'll try and sell it to a billionaire who wants to take it seriously. But the problem with you for that is it might take years. Do you get what I'm saying? So if I was a Liverpool fan, I think I'd be FSG out, mate. I'd be hounding it. 100%. They're not serious.
No.
Liverpool, one of the biggest clubs in the world, Liverpool. one of the biggest clubs, one of the biggest global fan bases in the world. And they do spend money. I'm not sit here and say they don't spend money, but they could spend a hell of a lot more money. You know what I mean? And they choose
100%.
not to. And you know, some Liverpool fans will go, well, because it's not all about money. We don't want it. Mate, football's been about money. Yeah, for a very fucking long time. A lot longer than City come around with their money. Yeah.
I'd argue it's been about money since the 19th century. It's always been about money, to be honest.
It's been about money for fucking ages, bro. You know what I mean? People are in denial. People want it because they want to say, oh, our league titles were when money was not an issue. What are you fucking talking about, man? You know
It's
what I mean?
always been about money, yeah,
It's always our leagues were clean, our leagues were better than yours because we didn't spend the money or we didn't do this or we didn't do that. It's like, mate, what are you waffling about? Go and have a look how many times Sir Alex Ferguson broke the transfer record. And guess what? I got a problem with it. Fucking well done. Yeah. What did Ferguson lost the league in 2012 when City won it? What did he do? He went outside the best striker, one of the best strikers in the Premier League's ever seen, Robin van Persie. Went, I need a striker. Did he go and get someone from League Two? Did he go and get Marouane Chamakh? Yeah, no, we went, I'll tell you who we'll go and get. I'll go and get Robin van Persie, one of the best strikers we've seen in this country. Bought him in, won him the league. Congratulations. That's what football clubs should be doing. They should be buying players to win the leagues and actually win. You think United fans are sitting there going, oh, we should have signed a Marouane Chamakh type player in League Two of France, you know what I mean, or Morocco, wherever he's from, and grow him and develop him. No, they want to win. But they don't want to do that, innit?
Exactly, yeah. Well, he broke it 5 times, didn't he? Roy Keane from Nottingham Forest, Andy Cole from Newcastle, and they were a title rival at that point in time, by the way, a potential title rival. Ruud van Nistelrooy, Rio Ferdinand, and Veron. You know, they were all required in order to, well, maybe not Veron, but they were all required in order to lead to very good success for United. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I echo that. Yeah, Fergie broke it 5 times, but he wanted to win. And indeed, he did win. There's nothing wrong with that because we all know that if you want to win consistent league titles, you must spend a lot of money. It's impossible to do that, to be consistently successful and win titles consistently without continually investing in your squads. Even like Arsene Wenger, like he inherited a British record player in Dennis Bergkamp. Like all the big clubs have spent a lot of money in order to be consistently successful. People are living in dreamland if they think that a team in England's been consistently successful without spending a lot of money. And again, it isn't just like a Premier League era thing as well. This is like an old First Division thing as well. In the I think it was like the late 80s, which ultimately led to, you know, Man United's dominance. Man United had the most expensively assembled squad in world football in like the late 80s, I believe, which ultimately led to, you know, the 90s and their period of success. So it's just a load of shite to suggest that you can be consistently successful without spending a lot of money. It's just not it's not correct.
No, 100%. But this is what fans have been conned into believing, that this is the situation. You know what I mean? And again, it's interesting, man, because why do a lot of fans like just bury their heads in the sand or just go with,
because it's easy.
Because it's easy, yeah. And I always say to people, man, you know what I mean? Don't listen to the pundits, mate. You know what I mean? Because this is what happens, right? People don't listen to the pundits when they're talking about football, like football on the pitch, because we all know, like, a lot of them talk nonsense. But then they'll listen to when it comes to finances. Just a load of nonsense. It's like when Big Steve got stitched up on the fucking overlap. Do you know what I mean? And some of the waffle that was coming out there, it was wild, bro. Like, it's actually insane. Sorry, guys. I know a lot of people have put some stuff in the chat. I have seen a lot of it, man, but I've not been able to whack it on screen just because the conversation's been flowing and that. Apologies. Let me go to some of these super chats. Big up to Andrew. Says, I believe they will sell when they've had enough money. I think I've read that one out before. He says, FSG don't deal with Liverpool anymore. Edwards runs the club and in charge of second club employed by FSG, not Liverpool. I wish we spent more money. Yeah. But again, the money thing, you know, if Edwards went to the FSG and said, could we spend more money? And they say no, then that is on FSG. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's FSG ultimately that could give them the money if they so wanted. But as you said, they don't want to do that. You get me? So it is what it is.
I guess it just annoys me that like it's just all geared towards new money clubs. As I say, you know, clubs who've like recently become rich, and that just like, why does it matter if a club became rich in, you know, 2008 as opposed to like the early 20th century? Why does it matter? Because just going back to the United example, United were going to go bankrupt in the early 19th century, but a rich individual just happened to bail them out on 2 occasions, actually. So what's the difference between like that incident in the early 20th century where they didn't deserve that investment or whatever, compared to like the more modern times where you've got like a Newcastle or a Man City or a PSG or whoever, and it's just a different rich man or a different rich company. It just annoys me.
It's
because
control,
there's no
innit?
difference for me.
It's control. And I've said this before. If I owned a club, I'd probably try and lock it off. Because, if I own a club, right, I want my team to get the Champions League revenue because that's important to me and it's important to the club. So if someone come to me and said, I own the other club that's in the same position, but, we might be getting challenged in a few years because all these guys are coming in and spending dough. You know what I mean? How about we bring in these rules and it'll lock it off and we won't have to worry? I'd be like, yeah, sign me up. I don't necessarily, and this might be, some City fans might not understand where I'm coming from, but I don't necessarily disagree with where these guys are coming from because I understand why they're doing it. It's quite clear to me. I understand why they're doing it. They're doing it because they want to be in the Champions League. They want to get the Champions League revenue. Because remember, before the Big Six, it was the Big Four. These guys were getting the Champions League money every year, getting the cash coming in every year. Every year it was hitting a bank account. Boom, landing checks from UEFA. Boom, boom, boom. Get me? But then obviously City come along, Chelsea were there as well. Now Newcastle, Villa. And now it's like these Champions League revenues are not always there. They're not always reliable. So if I can get some sort of rules in there to make it more difficult for these guys to break into that top 4, and therefore my club's getting all the Champions League revenues, I understand why they're doing it. But, you know what I mean? And I guess this is where we've got to, you've got to look at the other clubs, is why did we vote these rules in the first place? Why did someone like a Crystal Palace vote these rules in? Do you get me? Why are these why? Because they were lied to, maybe? I always refer back to the Niall Quinn interview that I remember him. Niall Quinn, former City guy who was chairman at Sunderland. I remember him on Sky Sports, and he said when they first spoke about FFP, before it came in, this was like 2010, 2011, something like that. Before it actually came in, right? And he was a chairman, I believe, at Sunderland. He said what they told us initially versus what it was when it actually came in was completely different. So they sold it in a different way. That's what they do with everything in life. You say, oh, look at this. Look at this we've got over here. This is amazing. If you vote for this, you'll get this and this will happen. So then you vote for it. And then something else, and it's like, oh, yeah, well, we didn't tell you about that. Or this is slightly changed or whatever. And then all of a sudden, it doesn't look so nice. You know what I mean? But obviously, if you're going to sell something, you need to, you sell a car. You don't tell them about the fucking, the leaking engine. You know what I mean? Or the fuel tank, which is leaky, innit? You say, oh, fucking great MPG, fucking infotainment system. Yeah, the DAB radio, the satellite. You know, it's all mint, innit? Don't tell about the fucking stuff that doesn't work.
Yeah, the dead dog in the back.
Exactly, man. Anyway, another stream about FFP. And I honestly, I genuinely, and it upsets me, man, because there's a generation of football fans out here now that never witnessed football before FFP, right? And I know not everyone agrees with this. I know not everyone agrees with me on this one, but I genuinely believe that football was much better before FFP and before VAR. That's just my opinion. And it upsets me that you got a load of people now, you know what I mean, who are late teenagers and maybe don't really remember football before VAR or have very slim memories of VAR and have slim memories of FFP. And you know what's funny is like these people who go, well, without FFP, all these clubs will go bust. I went on Google the other day and went, how many clubs went bust before FFP went in? I was expecting to see page after page after page after page. Very rare teams went bust. Teams go bust, not because they failed FFP, mate. It's because the owners don't want to put the money in. Happened to Bury when a guy bought the club and then decided he wasn't going to put any money in. The guy at Reading, FFP, I always said this, any financial restriction which allows you to make a loss, how does that help clubs not go bust? It's a load of nonsense, man.
Yeah. And they just don't get their story straight. It's 1 minute it's sustainability, the next it's now competitiveness. It'll be something else in like 5-10 years' time, no doubt.
I came up with the best solution years ago. And now Gary Neville's running with it and saying it was his idea when it was my idea years ago. Yeah.
Or fraud.
Escrow account, 1 year's worth of operating expenses plus 10%. You got to top it up every year with inflation. Yeah. You got to give them a valid amount of time to get the money in the account because someone like City have like 500 million quid operating expenses or whatever it is. So you can't just say overnight, you got to put that, you got to give them 10 years, you got to give them a decade, you got to give them time to do it. And then you say, right, if you spend 500 million, you got 500 million in an escrow account. Yeah. So then if the owner decides, soz lads, I ain't putting no money, you've got a full year's of money there, sat there. But then there's problems with that. Oh, well, City and Newcastle can deposit that in overnight and other clubs won't. Well, what do you want? You can't have your cake and eat it. You want to protect clubs. That's a valid rate. That's a valid way of doing it. No, you can't do that because it's not fair because City and Newcastle could do that overnight and other clubs couldn't. Well, what do you want to do then? Oh, we'll come up with some bullshit rules that prevent growth, prevent investment, and we'll just run with it, man. That, for me, is the best thing. Give them a decade. Yeah, and by the way, fans will buy into that. Because what you say is after a decade, if the money's not there, you're getting hit with a 50-point deduction, mate. You're getting screwed. But fans will go with it because they know if the money's not there, that's because the owner's not protecting the football club. I mean, if City didn't have the money in 2034, the money wasn't in the account, yeah, I'd be like, why is the money not in the account, mate? Because that's to protect my club from not going bust. I'd be getting on to Sheikh Mansour, mate. Yeah, I'd be getting on to Karl protesting outside the Etihad, saying, what are you doing? Get the money in the account, mate. Because if you dip, I want to make sure my club's safe for at least a year. But it's now people don't like the charge. People don't like the points deductions because it's just weird. It's just like, what's it based off of? It's no one knows.
It's arbitrary.
Random. So anyway, that's where I'm at with it. And Gary Neville's, I think Gary Neville's come along with that. But I think it's a good idea, man. Big up Eric says spend money equals win trophies equals global sponsorship contracts. No one knows standard charter outside of the UK. Well, this is the thing as well, Eric. Yeah, is to get the revenues, you need to be in the big competitions. People are still like, we're City getting all this money. Well, it's because
you got to spend money to make money.
Because we're in the Champions League every single year. So if you're a sponsor, you know that you're going to be getting to. Usually we get quite deep in the Champions League. This year, unfortunately, we got knocked out in the quarterfinals, but we usually get to finals, semi-finals at least. So you know your brand is going to be represented there. Now, obviously, with the Club World Cup as well in the summer, City are going to be invited to that. We're always involved in a title race, so we're always going to be on TV. It's quite simple, really. But to do that, you got to invest. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not being funny. Yeah. Emirates, who sponsor Arsenal, they're not just going to give Luton Town 200 million quid because they're in the Prem. They're going to give it to the clubs that are constantly on TV and getting far into competitions. Anyway, guys, we've got to... Oh, sorry, go.
I was just going to say, like, there's no other English side has been in the Champions League for every single season for the past decade. So City are the safest bet. If you are going to invest in a Premier League club and you want your brand to be visible every single season in the Champions League, history tells us over the past decade, City is the only safe bet because everyone else has been out of it. You know, United have been out of it, Arsenal have been out of it, Liverpool have been out of it, Chelsea have been out of it, Spurs have been out of it. The only constant there is City, and that consistency is worth a lot of money to commercial partners who need a guarantee that their brand will be seen everywhere in the Champions League. That's another reason why City's commercial revenue is so high.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, big up, bro. Guys, I want to make sure that you guys are following this guy on Twitter, Blue City Brain. Now, it's not just for City fans because he puts out all clubs, for example. Yeah, look, he puts out all clubs data. So make sure you're following him. Some of the graphics we've used today are from him. Showed you at the start of the show. Make sure you go follow him at Blue City Brain on Twitter. Really, really good. Breaks it down really simply to use. Again, it's not just for City fans. He puts all the data on there so you can see for your club if you're not a City fan tuning in. And he has just messaged me to confirm that, yes, I am basically right in saying City have effectively gone from the third safest team with the rules that we was going to get of the squad cost ratio below Brighton and Spurs. We've gone from the third safest team to effectively the second worst team, the second most at-risk team.
Yes.
Now, we are below the threshold, so we're fine. But we've gone from a team that was doing very well, third best in the league, to now the second worst in the league with
almost like we were doing too well in the eyes of some people.
But again, they're not targeting us in any way. You know, they're not targeting us anyway. So anyway, there you go. Make sure you guys are following Nobbins as well. Links in the title as always. Make sure you go subscribe to him. Bro, I'm going to come at you now. Have you done that Grealish video?
No, sorry. I'm sorry I've let you down.
You know what? I've got to play this.
See you later. You go in prison. You go in prison, and you're getting named and shamed.
I'm sorry. I'm a fraud. I know.
We need it, bro.
I know. I need to make it. I'm sorry.
That's all right, mate. Yeah, guys, make sure you subscribe to Nobbins. Go to the title. Make sure you subscribe. I'm going live now on Football's 12th Man podcast for the Race for Europe show. Stream will redirect you. I guess I'll see Nobbins on the week. Do we play Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday.
So
Saturday.
maybe it'll be Sunday or Monday. We'll probably get the next episode of Elbins. So yeah, thanks for coming on, mate. As always, really appreciate your time.
Of course.
Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Hopefully you found it a little bit useful. I'm sorry that we couldn't bring you the full details, but the full details are not fully released yet. So we can only go off sort of what's out there at the moment in the public domain. And it's still a little bit, we're still learning a little bit ourselves as it's going on. Please make sure you drop a like. Please make sure you are subscribed. If you're watching back on replay, curious to know your thoughts. And as well, if you're not a City fan, give me your thoughts in the comment section below. Maybe you have a different view to myself and Nobbins. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. See you later.